So you shared publicly that you were an orphan and how literally we see you as a father in the faith and how you began to move out of an orphan spirit, if you will, and things that you've taught, because it so affects your leadership over the years and how fatherly you are. Can you speak to that for some
Sure.
of us?
Actually, I guess the term orphans, that there is no father or mother, but actually there was a father somewhere, just he went back to whatever country he came from. And then my mother, because of the pogrom and stuff in Russia, she never recovered, although she had 7 children, you know. And but at the age of 2 years old, everything exploded, and 6 of the children went in one direction, and I went in another direction. So I never knew my father or never knew my mother. And so from the age of 2, I was raised either in a boarding school or a paramilitary school. And that's all I knew. I didn't have a bad parent. I just didn't have any parent. So it was not something I was familiar with. I didn't know there was always this kind of emptiness. And when I was in like a paramilitary school, it was sort of like a it was after grade school, pre-high school type situation. Every summer, everybody would go home. And, you know, but I would stay there because I didn't have anywhere to go. And so I would just be there for the summer. And one year I just got tired of it. I said, I think I'm going to go out. So I basically ran away. And the police picked me up and they said, why did you go? I said, well, I just was interesting. I didn't even know slang. I was just interested, is there anything else in the world, you know, beside this? And so the next year they sent me to this summer camp. And it was one of those religious things. And they said you could go to the religious side or the non-religious side. Well, I was the only Jewish kid there, and the religious side, they made a lot of noise. You know, they were in this tent, and they were noisy. And so I, naturally, as a good little Jewish boy, I said, I'm going to the non-religious side. And to make a long story short, at the end of the summer camp, there was this one couple that really liked me, and they really treated me very special, which to me was unusual because I was used to living in a group environment and you're part of the group. And they said, thank you very much. And I said, okay, you know, I'm pulling my suspenders. Sure. And I said, for what? And they said, well, for your ancestors, because of them, we're not worshiping idols of stone and so on and so forth. And I said, well, okay. I had no idea what they're talking about. They said, we learned how to deal with our sin, and you know how the conversation was. They said, how do you Jews deal with it? Well, I had a pat answer. I had no idea. You know, well, we have the Day of Atonement and stuff. I had no idea what that was. I said, if you let me come back next year, I'll bring you answers. That's what I said. Now I'm a 12-year-old kid.
Without Google.
Yeah, I haven't even been bar mitzvahed yet, you know, but this is going to be my bar mitzvah year coming up. So for the next few months, I decided I'm going to read the Bible. And it was terrible. I mean, it was hard. Nobody could understand. And anyway, I did understand Abraham. This is cool. I'm a son of Abraham. I got into Exodus and Leviticus, and it didn't look good. You know, I didn't understand covenants like I do now, but I understood one thing. Ooh. You know, I did this, I did that, and now I understand why people hate Jews. Because I did all this. I remember, I'm a kid, you know, I am now bar mitzvahed, okay? I'm 13 years old, and I'm responsible, and I said, oh man, I'm cut off, you know, and I realized for the first time in my life, I really wanted God. Never knew it. But now I realize I couldn't have God. It was devastating to me. I was a good student up to that point, and all of a sudden I just quit. I said, that's it. There's no hope for me. There's no reason to do anything. And so I went, you know, like being an A student to being a D student. And I was devastated for the next 2 or 3 months. Somehow or another, come spring, they said, you can go back to the camp. I don't know why. Maybe they thought it would help. And so I went back to the camp. I was pretty devastated, very angry. And I looked for this couple because I said they were anti-Semitic. They knew I was going to find out I was a Jew and I was cursed. And nobody liked Jews, you know, in those times. And so I found them. They were there. And I said, you knew. And they said, you know what? You knew that I was cursed, you know, because I was a Jew. And they said, did you, they start laughing. And I was used to people laughing. And I said, then you're laughing at me. And he said, no, we're laughing with you. I said, what do you mean? He said, did you read further? I said, of course not. There's nothing else to read. They said, no, there's more. And I hope I can hold this together. They said, there's more. And when they said that there's more, something rose up inside of me that I had never experienced in my life, because I had never thought about hope or anything else. To me, it was just survival, learning to live within a group of people. And there were some important other people, but nothing that deep. And all of a sudden, I said, what do you mean there's more? They said, oh, there's more. And so for the next couple of weeks, they went to the scriptures. They didn't open the New Testament yet. And they showed me that there's an answer, and it was to the Jews first, to me. And very shortly after that, I was not critical of the Messiah. And I was just so glad he was there. You know, healthy people can be very critical of doctors, but if you're sick, you're happy if a good veterinarian can help you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So true.
And I didn't care who the Messiah was. He could have been a 3-foot midget, and I would have just been glad. You know, he was there just to be there for me. I mean, this is where I was at. And I was this little Jewish kid that all of a sudden realized, wow, you know, I'm important to God. And I came to faith. I mean, it was simple for me, and I had a genuine born-again experience. I didn't know all about the Spirit. I didn't know all about, you know, I didn't know much, but I knew one thing, that there was a God in heaven who really cared for me as a person, as a part of the Jewish people. And so I had a real born-again experience, and for the next couple of days, it was really, really kind of great. And I was in my room just kind of reading, and all of a sudden I could understand. I could start understanding the Bible. And then something happened that changed my life. I was there by myself, and all of a sudden, it was like the presence of God came down upon me. But as a Jewish boy, we looked at God as awesome God, holy God, and he is, but never thought about him as a father. And I didn't know what a father was, neither good or bad. And all of a sudden, the presence of God came down upon me as a father. And I felt for the first time in my life, I'm a son.
Oh, wow.
A real son, and I have a real father. And he's perfect. And he's awesome. And yes, he's the creator. Yes, he's the awesome God. But to me, he's my dad. I was never able to call anybody dad. And I knew that he was my dad, he was my father, and it changed me. And from that point on, my relationship has always been that. I haven't done so well sometimes, and I've gotten better. And through that period of time, it transformed me as an individual in understanding, and somehow or another, God has walked with me through different wars and different situations, and it brought me through life and all kinds of experience just to prepare me to come home to Israel, and has graced me with the opportunity and the blessing to kind of be like a father in the land. And he's given me an unusual patience and a gift that I can see the possibility of the people and the young people around me, and even the older people around me. Even older people need papas. And God has given me that heart, and it's a gift that only he could have given to me, because I understand the heart of the Father. And that changed me, and that's...
Wow.